So, why did I start gardening? I started because I wanted to have fresh vegetables ready at hand, just right there in the backyard. I can go outside, pick it when I need it, and it is always fresh, right? Because you pick it, because I would only pick it right when I need it. Obviously, it would have to be ready, but so that's really the main bottom line. And then of course there are other reasons that go along with it as well. Um, I want organic, and of course prices in the store quite high, much higher than the conventional kind, because I just really much prefer not having pesticides and herbicides on my food, because it's just why have if you can have it fresh without it, why not go that way, right? Why not go that route? I much prefer my food without herbicides and pesticides. So it being well more expensive, and plus the benefits are just so much greater when you are able to grow your own. You get, it's fresh. It's obviously depending on how you farm, how you grow your food, then it can be organic or not. But at least for me, then I know exactly where my food's coming from, how it's been treated and everything. And it's the freshest that it can be when it's right from your garden, right? So that's definitely number one. And of course, backstory, growing up, I always, there was always like a vegetable garden in our backyard. My mom was, every year, always had something. A lot of that, the staples. She had corn. I mean, we lived in New York City and in Queens, and it was a small backyard, but it was enough to grow what she did. She grew corn, chives, garlic chives, like dill, beans, cucumbers, tomatoes. I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting a whole bunch of other things, but there were just so many things that she was growing in there. And of course, I was wrangled into having to help her, even in the heat of the summer. And of course, I always hated it back then. But and one of my jobs was to collect the pollen for the corn and save the pollen, so that when the silk showed up, then I would basically be hand pollinating all the corn that we had. And that's one of the things I remember the most about doing that. And everything else was helping her water everything, helping her water the garden, and she pretty much did everything else. And of course, then when there was nothing else for me to do, then I would be making mud pies in the backyard. So, but definitely, and then of course when it was, whenever she needed something for the backyard, she'll give me a knife. Oh, go cut some, garlic chives, or go get a, tomato, or, and of course, to harvest time for sure, I'd be one, helping her as well, beans and everything else that we had, cucumbers. So definitely, I knew early on where a lot of our food came from, and you know, of course, and as I grew up to an adult, I didn't really start my own garden until after I got married, and we had our own. We were renting a house because before that we were living in apartments, so there was just no way. And I didn't even really have a desire at the time to have my own garden, but so my desire for gardening started again when we got a house, and we started renting a house and stuff. And so I would just do it in containers because renting, you're not allowed to dig in their yard and stuff. So one of the other reasons why I garden is also the variety that you can get when you grow your own, because then you buy when you buy seeds, really, because a lot of the nurseries, like say Home Depot, which of course we don't have here in the Bahamas, but in the States, when you have Home Depot and Lowe's and they're like garden centers, they have the usual standard varieties of tomato and other vegetables and stuff like that. Because when you want to go past, when you want to go beyond the standard varieties that are available, the standard vegetables that are available, then you will turn to seed companies. And like I've mentioned before, I think in my other videos, or at least I always put in the description the link to the seed companies that I would use. Baker Creek. Baker Creek is really the one that I've been buying from right now. I kind of try to stick to just one particular shop because I have to import everything in here, and so it just makes it simpler for me to just buy from one place and have it all shipped. And unless I'm really looking for something specific and they don't carry it, but so far and of course with my limited space and budget, I have to be very picky and choosy on what I buy and what I'm growing right now. So, but the point is that I have now, I have the ability to grow things that I've never seen before or even heard of. Like one of the things I've never heard of and only just started growing last year are ground cherries. I think I saw probably from YouTube as I'm browsing. I think it was one of the channels called Eat the Weeds, and one of the videos that this guy did was on ground cherries, and I was like, ground cherries? I'm like, well, because I love like cherries, like Bing cherries, and so I was like, oh, what's this? And so that kind of like really piqued my interest in it. So I watched the video, and of course it's nothing at all, anything closely related to Bing cherries or that kind of cherry. The ground cherries grow as a bush, not as a tree, and very totally unrelated, and they're related to the tomato family, and they're in the nightshade family. So and so that's one of the new things that I learned about and started growing last year, and they taste delicious. They're touted as a superfruit, and I have not been so very successful with growing it. And the plants that I started last year, it's still going on. It's still growing right now, and I think so. I'm pretty sure it's perennial, but obviously in the colder regions, then it's more of an annual. But it's so I haven't gone to the point where I can have enough of that's producing enough that I can make jam or jelly out of, which is one of the things I would like to try with that. And just even having to eat fresh, it has not been producing as well. And so I'm learning from that, because too is first thing, it's something I've never grown before. I just gotta make some adjustments and hopefully get a better yield, as I too have some new seedlings growing as well, and I still have the other plants. But and anyway, so things like that, and other vegetables, other beans, and there's just a plethora of variety of all the vegetables out there. It's just amazing how the immense variety, and the colorations of, say, just tomatoes in itself is a huge, there's just, I don't even know how many varieties there are. Just, it looks like just hundreds of them. There's just so many different colors, different sizes, different even shapes, the way they come out and stuff like that. It's just amazing, all that God made, and the variety that He made, and it's so cool to see. Whereas if you go to the supermarket, you pretty much you'll see Roma tomatoes, beefsteak tomatoes, and pretty much it, unless it's a specialty grocery store. Then you'll see some of the other varieties. But in the grocery store, you're just so limited. But when you grow your own, there is no limit. The limit is what seeds are available, and you can try new things. And some of the things I have, I ordered, and it should arrive soon from Baker Creek. I ordered these beans called winged beans, and I'll put a picture up so you can see what it looks like. But I saw someone else do a video on them, and so I was like, oh, well, these look really cool, and so I wanted to try them, and too, even in the beans, just such a plethora of variety. I have the if you've seen in my videos, the red noodle bean, and and too, that's another thing. It's like I can get some color in the garden, because for me, I'm focusing more on just vegetables. I love flowers, and I would love to have a flower garden as well. But at the moment, I'm focusing on things that I can eat, or that the flowers are medicinal, or have a use for them besides just being pretty. And so, of course, I have the calendula and have echinacea, which I'm both having a little bit trouble getting the seeds to sprout. And so, doing some more research and trying to figure out why I can't seem to get them to sprout right now, because I want the echinacea for immunity support, and calendula I like to have, because I know there's some, I keep forgetting what the other benefits are besides helping skin issues with calendula. But so that's usually the time that I would get flowers as well as vegetables, is when I can actually use the flowers. And so, so with growing vegetables and buying seeds to start, you can add color to your garden from all the different kinds of vegetables that are in colors other than green. This is a shout out to Naive Urban Gardener. She's sending me some seeds for the Rosy F1 pak choi, and they're purple. And because I actually wanted to get the Purple Lady bok choy, but Baker Creek was sold out. And so Naive Urban Garden was kind enough to send me some seeds from her stash for the pak choi. And then I also have some lettuce on its way. It's called Red Ragus. It's like bright, or not bright, but it's like a to me like a maroon colored leaf lettuce. I've got that, and then I can't remember what else. And so the point is, I have I think an orange tomato. I can't remember now what color it was. I gotta check that in my order coming. Certain kind of tomato. It's a different color, not the usual red. And I picked that one for it being a smaller size tomato. I didn't want the cherry tomatoes. I wanted a tomato that can be used for like to slice for burgers or something like that. But I didn't really want the huge size ones like say beefsteak or any of the other ones, just because I had not been doing very well with tomatoes. And so I thought I did pretty well with the yellow pear tomato. But so I figured maybe getting a smaller size tomato I could do better at growing it. So so my point is that when you buy seeds, then there's just so much more of a variety out there that you can choose from, and colors, different vegetables that are available, that you can have some color in your garden if you're not growing flowers. So, and I just wanted to show you real quick one of my pots, or this is in a 2-liter soda bottle, and I have cilantro growing. And so if you're thinking about starting your own garden and you've never done it before, start small. Start with maybe some herbs, and if you like cilantro, and the thing is too, you don't really have to go and break the bank. For me, I'm very, we have a tight budget, and so I'm very budget minded and looking for different ways to save money and just using things around the house. Okay, and so for those of you that are thinking about starting a garden and have never done it before, start small. Start with an herb garden, and use the things around your house. You don't have to break the bank to start a garden. You obviously need some, you need to purchase, soil if your soil's not good, and some other things. There's, tools and things like that. But you don't have to go all out. But anyway, start with this. Start with right here with what you have. This is a 2-liter soda bottle. I've used water jugs. Use water jugs as a container if you're doing containers, and then start with what are your favorite herbs. For me, one of them is cilantro, and these smell so good. I love rubbing the leaves and smelling, because it smells really good. And obviously, I know too that there's it's a hate-love relationship with cilantro. You either hate it or you love it. So I'm one of the ones that love cilantro. So I just wanted to show you this one, and this one. Green onions, or Egyptian walking onions, bunching onions. I'm not sure. I think these are the Egyptian walking onions, because when it does flower and bloom, it creates these little bulblets. They don't create seeds, but they create bulblets. The flowers bloom, and then they have these they look like little teeny little bulbs of green onions growing on it. And then the whole thing is that when the blossom stalk gets too heavy, it falls down, and then wherever it touches, the little bulblets on them will then take root and grow, and that's why they're called Egyptian walking onions. And so I've never seen these produce any seeds, so I'm assuming that this kind is the Egyptian walking onion, because I know there are other green onions that produce seeds. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure how that works. All I know is that from what I've seen, when it blooms, it creates little bulblets. Because I thought it was going to be seeds, and then I started seeing these little bulblets form. And I mean, look at this. And this is in a 1-gallon cloth pot grow bag. This particular brand is called Root Pouch, and this is a really good quality. I'll have to do a video on grow bags, because I just bought a different variety grow bag pretty much a no-name one, and I could immediately tell the difference in quality of the fabric and everything. So I'll do another video if you guys are interested. And so just look at this. I mean, and these are from store-bought green onions, and I just wanted to show you real quick too, if you can see. Look at that. Look at all these roots coming out of this bag. And that's another thing. That's what was really awesome about too these grow bags, is they cause whatever you're growing in them to have a much better root system. And as you see, it's got roots growing out of here. And so so that these growing in pots, these don't, when they grow in fabric pots, they don't get root bound. And so this is the green onions, and I mean, look how well these are doing. I had a bunch of other pots that are doing quite poorly, and so I started repotting them, and then of course I'm putting in some more fertilizer for them. I used tomato tone. If you already, you've seen in my other videos when I mentioned that, but that's the brand that I use, tomato tone fertilizer. That's what's available here, organic. It says it's for organic gardening, and so that's what I'm going with, since that's what is available to me. So, I mean, this is just awesome. When I need some green onions, I could just go outside, and snip some off, and then this just keeps growing, and it's just totally fresh. Whereas if you go to the store here, it's like $3, $2, $3 for a bunch, for just one bunch, and then it's like too, if you don't use it right away, then they'll go bad really easily. But these days, I mean, one bunch is not even enough for me. Because especially when I make my green onion bread, then I use a whole lot of this. So, it's just really simple for some of these things. So start small. If you're thinking about starting a garden, just start small and go from, and just slowly, don't overwhelm yourself. And so I didn't really mean for it to get this long, but another thing is it's just fun. Obviously there's a bit of work involved, especially if you have a big garden, but it's worth it when you are able to pick, and of course I haven't experienced that yet, get a nice, really good crop of vegetables or whatever, and whatever it is that you have growing. And it's just a great sense of accomplishment, and then you get to enjoy the fruits of your labor. It's just awesome. And so, and I just wanted to put it out there. I would love for you guys to comment and tell me why you garden. And if you have a channel, I would love to see your video on why you garden. If you already have one, then please link it down below, and I'd love to watch it. And if you haven't made a video on why you garden, hey, why not? And do it, and then comment here. And so I would love to hear it. Why do you garden? For your own food, therapeutic? Many people do say it is therapeutic, and I know for sure for my mom, it was definitely a therapeutic thing. That definitely helped, because like whenever she would get off work, first thing when she get off work and come home, straight to the backyard and to do what she needed to do in the backyard. And it was kind of like that was her playground. And for me, kind of, is like I'm always going out there. All you gardeners know exactly what I mean when I talk about always going out there, especially when you're new and you have something new growing too. The excitement, and you always got to go. And I always got to go out and check and see, oh, did I get any new growth? Did I get any sprouts? And to see, where the progress is of everything that you're growing in there. And so I'm sure all you gardeners know what the excitement of that is, what the excitement of getting new seeds and all that kind of thing. So it's a fun thing. It's and you can get so much out of it, and it's a great way for your kids, if you have kids, to really see where their food comes from. Because I know so many people, they have no clue where the things that they eat every day, the vegetables, and I've seen documentaries where the kids, they have no clue where their food comes from, and there are a lot of things that I didn't know. I mean, obviously I know that they grow, that it wasn't like someone just made it, right, and then manufacture it. But like when I'm talking about like things like cashews, I never knew how they grew, and it's just really interesting to know that they grow on trees, and the cashew like grows at the very end of what they call a cashew apple, and even the cashew apple you can eat. So it's just fascinating, all the how things that I never knew how they grew, and now I know for some other things. There's many things I like. Artichokes, I never knew that they were actually a flower bloom. I love artichokes. They're so tasty, and at some point when or maybe when we have our own, finally get our own piece of property, then that's definitely on my list of things to grow, artichokes. I never knew there were flower blooms. It's just so amazing, and it's just really neat to see all the things that I love to eat, how they grow and where they really, you know what I mean, how they come from. If they came from a tree, if they came from a bush, or some things their roots and things like that. So anyway, I don't want this to get any longer. So I hope you enjoyed the video and learning about why I garden. And comment on why, or link up with your video on why you garden. And I will see you next time. Bye!